Hello tankers and welcome to World of Tanks with me, Merriman. Today we're having a little bit of a relaxation. The last video was pretty fucking depressing. So I thought we needed something a little bit more uplifting. And that's why I'm using the 50mm gun on the OI. The gun is very similar to the KV2 and personally I think I preferred the KV2 over the OI, but because the OI was Japanese, I decided to work through it anyway, and honestly, me and the OI just never got along. Something about the OI and me just didn't quite click, and it just didn't work for me. Everyone says they're overpowered, but the thing is, if you get around the sides of them, they've got barely any armor. The fronts and the rear is armor galore, but if you put shells into the tracks and the sides, they die pretty quickly, and people just don't pay attention to that. I mean, the gun depression is terrible as well. And what people don't realise is if you get to the side of one, generally they can't get their gun down low enough to shoot at you. So, killing an OI is no big problem, really. But, I digress. The whole aim of this game is the gun. That gun is going to give you some pretty satisfactory results. And yeah, it doesn't always work. I've had some absolutely dreadful games in it, and I've had some equally brilliant games in it, and this is one of those pretty fun games. So, the team has gone off to do its usual thing. I'm in a tier 6 platoon with Steve, and here's our first shot. And there we go. First shot, first kill of the game. 580 hit points, a one-shot kill on that tier 6 light tank. So 24-second reload, which is pretty hefty, but when you can do something like that, why the hell not? Why not just go for that shot and just... there was something nice about having this kind of derp gun, but I sold the tank anyway. I got the Oni, which I think I prefer over the OI, but you'll see that one of the things these Japanese heavy tanks are quite good at doing is very gently sloping the front of their armor and taking the shots whilst they reload. The thing they're not so good for is you get arseholes allies who will sit behind you and use you as cover, and they prevent you from falling back. This is called blocking, and it's a complete dick move to do. Do not sit behind your ally tanks. So next up on the agenda is a AMX M445, French tier 7 heavy tank. It has barely any armour and a lovely gun. Our bishop doesn't like the TD to kill him, so kills him for us. I'm sorry, I feel really bad for that TD, but oof. So I put in a quick message to congratulate the bishop on his one-shot kill of his ally. In the meantime, I reload and get down to about 5 seconds, and then I start pushing forwards again because, by the time I see him, it would take me a good 90 billion years to aim on him anyway, so why not just take a shot? But this is the one major problem with the OI, the speed. It's just so god-awfully slow. There's the bishop. Well, sorry, I didn't think he'd ram a heavy. It's quite reasonable. I mean, honestly, he probably shouldn't have been ramming that heavy tank. But, I guess if it works for him, it works for him. So I make a quick joke saying, what else would he do? Fire his gun as a tank destroyer? Don't be ridiculous. And I send that BDR back to the garage. So already, 3 shots fired, 2 of those have been kills. Again, the reload is pretty depressing, but something about these kills is just, it lightens my day to get these kind of kills. When you can just go bang, one-shot the enemy, it is satisfying. It's actually, when I played these games, it actually made me think, maybe I should get back my KV2. I mean, I detested my KV2. I mean, you could not find someone who detested their KV2 more than me, but I don't know, something about this derp gun, it is pretty funny. So the game is starting to round off pretty nicely, but if you've been paying attention to the map, you'll see that down at K9, Juliet 9, there's about 7 enemy heavy tanks and mediums and TDs and everything else they own threatening our cap circle. Well, we've got 2 TDs there, so who cares, right? Of course, our KV-1S is quite happily sat at the back of the map, doing absolutely nothing at K6. So congratulations to him. Very, very well done. Now, I acknowledge that KV-13 was there on the map. The F7 position is where the KV-13 is, and that's behind where I'm about to go. And yeah, showing your bum to the enemy is always a bad idea, but in a tank like the OI, doesn't really matter. So here comes the E25, and there he goes. SU5, on the other hand, is very soon about to come down the hill. Our challenger calls Steve and the Cromwell a bot. I mean, I don't see why. He's getting shells off. What's the point in complaining? Really, just what's he hoping to achieve? T25 there blows off my tracks, and I take off nearly half his health in return. KV-13 fires a shot through the hatch on the turret. Now, I'm not sure if that's because it was gold or because it was a weak spot, but that's an interesting spot that you might want to try taking advantage of. SU5 here. Brilliant tactic, ramming an OI, and then he's sent back to the garage. So, really fantastic job. I think that was confirmation there that the hatch is indeed a weak spot. Shot was fired just below one of the other hatches on the turret, bounced completely. Blow the tracks off that T25 by ramming him, which in heavy tanks is quite a good technique. If you see a enemy tank trying to escape, if you ever so gently ram them, you're more often than not going to take off their tracks. So at this point, it's kind of a cap versus cap situation, and you would see a lot of people going, you know, no cap, kill all because we're winning, but what's the point? Me and the Oni are so incredibly slow, we're never going to get there in time. And our T150 friend is faster than us, but not that much faster. So what do? We race into the cap circle, using our armour to block the KV-13, and if he comes up, we send him back to the garage. And just like that, the game comes to an end, with 5 kills, 1,989 kills, and a butthurt KV-13. So, again, hopefully you enjoyed those games. If you did, please leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.